Hello, everybody. I really miss you, and I can't wait to teach you guys next week. So this video is a reteach about the poem that you guys did last week for me, Friend Zone by Garity. Now, I noticed that a lot of us kind of missed what the theme of this poem was, and because we missed the theme, a lot of us wrote paragraphs that were a little off. So what we're going to do is I am going to show you guys the video again, and then I'm going to show you some exemplary student responses, and then some student responses that could use some editing. So here is the video Friend Zone by Garity.
First time I ever danced with a girl, she leaned in close and asked me, "Why are your arms so stiff? Dancing with you is like dancing with a mannequin if they made mannequins super bony and with very sweaty palms." And to be fair, my palms were sweaty and simultaneously ice cold. I was and continue to be a miracle of physics. Who knew that no hands could be supported by wrists that a 5-year-old or baby duck could easily snap? This may be a small part of why I spent my teenage years absolutely failing with women. In middle school, I would ask girls I liked how much they weighed to see if I might weigh more. Numbers made me excited. I loved math. I used to think this meant everyone else loves math too. In high school, I became intimate with the friend zone. One girl, I spent so many years in the friend zone, I didn't even realize I was in it. She was from Sweden, so I guess it was literally Stockholm Syndrome. I would come over to her house and I would calculus, and I would comfort her and tell her how she was beautiful, or how her boyfriend was a dick, or how in a girl's art of its derivatives. Eventually, I've spent so much time in the friend zone, I grew to think of it as some kind of magical home away from home, some lush forest filled with unicorns and elves and puppies, none of whom were getting laid. A fun adventure, constantly uncovering new questions about this mystical place. Are you in the friend zone if they're speaking with other people and not telling you about it? Are you in the friend zone if they tell you they would totally marry you in 15 years? Why would you marry me in 15 years? In 15 years, I'll still be a virgin because you never slept with me.
Okay, so at the beginning of the poem, you guys got this right. The mood, which is how the audience feels, it's upbeat, it's funny, it's humorous. He's talking about how he spent his teenage years failing with women, and he talks about this concept of the friend zone. So here he is complaining about the friend zone a little bit. But when the mood shifts, we're going to expect for his ideas to shift as well. So let's pay attention to how his message changes with this mood shift.
2 months after my first girlfriend and I broke up, I heard that she lost her virginity to the next guy she dated. And at the time, I thought of this as a betrayal of not her choice, as if she owed me something. A newspaper column once defined the friend zone as follows. She discusses her love life with him and has the audacity to ask his advice on it. He performs favors for her. He does everything a boyfriend would do, but gets no benefits. As if the only reason to be a good friend or a decent fucking human is if you get something in exchange.
Okay, so now I hear him criticizing this idea of the friend zone. He's looking back at his past and he's thinking, man, I thought that girl owed me something, but she didn't owe me anything. I was a nice guy, and if I'm a nice guy, that doesn't mean that this girl has to do something.
When I started thinking of myself as a savior, I ended up thinking of myself as a savior with a salary. You put in your hours as a nice guy, and sex is just a living wage, but sex is not a transaction. Sex is not a handshake to seal some deal. That girl did not owe me anything.
So here he's really actually criticizing the idea of the friend zone. He's saying, wow, if you complain about the friend zone just because you're nice to someone, that's not cool. Nobody owes you anything just for being nice. Sex isn't something that you just get for being nice. So here he's actually criticizing how he used to act and how he used to think. He's thinking about his past actions, and he's saying, actually, even though I complained about being in the friend zone, none of those girls owed me anything. Just because I was a nice friend doesn't mean they had to date me or have sex with me. Let's keep going.
Last year, I heard that her home was broken into in a neighborhood known for sexual assaults. Nothing happened to her. We all know the statistics. Your rapist is more likely to be someone that you know. The boogeyman, the stranger in the alley is real, but not as real as we are. We all know the statistics, but we don't know how to accept how easily we become part of the problem.
So here he's saying, people get raped a lot, and people are more likely to be raped by people that they know. And so this part where it's paused here, but we don't know how to accept that we can be part of the problem. He's relating this idea of the friend zone, this toxic idea, to how that can be part of the problem. This idea that people owe other people sex, he's saying that is part of the problem.
You cannot kill a monster until you are willing to see it in the mirror, until you recognize its shape in your own skin.
All right, you cannot kill a monster until you see it in the mirror, until you recognize its shape in your own skin. There, he's telling us, I had to break free from this idea of the friend zone. The part of me that was a monster was the part of me that was complaining about the friend zone, and I was actually part of a problem. So, his overall message here isn't that the friend zone is a problem. He's not saying the friend zone is something that affects people. What he's saying is the friend zone is a toxic idea, and it's important to break free from this and make sure we're not having these toxic ideas inside ourselves. So, I'm going to show you guys some really exemplary paragraphs. These people did a great job of capturing that theme. And then I'm going to show you some paragraphs that just aren't there quite yet. They have great structure, but they missed the theme. So I'm looking at this one to start. Dylan Garity manipulates the mood of friend zone by causing a sudden shift from a humorous, upbeat mood to a solemn, intense mood to convey his message that being resentful about being friend zoned contributes to rape culture. At first, the mood of the poem is light and upbeat when Garity is telling stories about his failed experiences with women. However, the mood abruptly shifts to serious when Garity talks about how he used to think that women owed him sex and relationships for being a good friend, and that statistically, women are more likely to be raped by people they know. This shift serves to shock and surprise the audience into understanding the theme of the poem, which is ultimately that having the mindset that a woman owes you sex just because you're a nice guy contributes to rape culture. And we must break away from this thinking in order to create a safer environment for the people in our lives. Beautiful. And then here's another example by a student. Dylan Garity manipulates the mood of friend zone by causing a sudden shift from an amusing mood to a serious mood to convey his message that just because you're in a relationship with someone doesn't mean that person you share that relationship must owe you things and grant you gifts, for it is their choice to do so. At first, the poem is amusing when Garity is reciting events that he experienced with girls, sometimes in the context of intimacy. When he recites these events, he explains it with humor in which the audience finds quite entertaining and something to laugh about, as shown in the YouTube video of Dylan Garity, Friend Zone. However, the mood abruptly shifts to serious when Dylan Garity starts to display the emotions he felt when he heard that the girl he had broken up with lost her virginity to a more recent boyfriend she was in a relationship with after him. He explains how he felt a sense of betrayal and felt that she owed him something because she didn't have sexual intercourse with him when they were in a relationship. Yet, he comes to a realization that sex isn't a must, for it is a choice by explaining serious situations about the statistics in the cases of rape. The shift serves to shock and surprise the audience into understanding the theme of the poem, which is ultimately that just because you were in a relationship with someone doesn't mean that the person you share that relationship with must owe you things and grant you gifts, for it is their choice to do so. So here are two students who really, really understood the theme. Now, this is a great example of good writing, but the answer is kind of wrong. The theme isn't there. So let's see. He says the message is that nice guys always get the last piece of the pie. That's not our theme, right? He's joking about it at first, but when he does the shift in mood, he's actually saying that just because you're a nice guy doesn't mean anybody owes you anything, right? Same with this one. People will use you for the things that they want from you and not ask what you need or want from them. I don't think this message is the same as the message that we're really seeing in the video. And then same with this one, everything happens for a reason and don't make excuses for it. I think that kind of misses the mark of the theme. So remember, in order to find the theme, we really got to listen purposefully to all parts of the video. Because this second part, so at first it's really silly. It's silly, 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 silly. Then all of a sudden, he shifts and he's like, actually, I was wrong back then. And you cannot think that way. So we're going to have practice identifying mood this week. So what I want you to do is when we are reading poems and watching poems, pay attention to what you think the author's true message is. Pay attention to what they're saying. Pause it if you need to. Really think, what is that message?